Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can see the slide and you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
What I'm going to do today, briefly, what we discussed last week. About last week, mainly what we did, the presentation and the discussion, and then coming to the pre-market things, mainly price flow and price ceiling, we'll discuss today. And if someone, you can look at the YouTube also, they are live. And so last week, so this chart, came from a study done 2022, how general public can export predict policies, for example, income tax, how affect to inflation. Look at the experts think about inflation reduced, but the general public really what happened, inflation increase. And the other things also here. Another chart also, same article, different shock how affect household and the expert believe. Now, this really matter when you discuss the government intervention. They are the expert and policymakers thing. Now, this did in USA. You can imagine, country like Sri Lanka, really what happened. And this may has questions whether the relevant relevant theories, something wrong, or maybe the knowledge of the expert really, or implementing strategies and delivery channel, something wrong. So those are some questions, but master level or even your PhD level, this kind of study you can do. With that, I will look at the government intervention. Yeah, intervention, when you discuss, we look at only few intervention strategies or tools. Those are what I use as a conventional strategies, conventional tool. We have to go beyond those conventional strategies and tools. Even the conventional tools, more than this you have. And from the beginning, I explained why to the government intervention required for premium market. There I discussed like economic nirvana or Pareto optimal level. The market, the one supposed to bring this optimal level. So neoclassical economics, we believe that it create the market through the market. One economic principle also, if you remember principle number 7, it says the market is the good way to address the economic activity. In that way, society can reach the top level. But at the same time, we notice that the market work and some market failures happen because of that. Really, the people drop into the second level reality in the people now in the second level as society. Now, the government job, what we discussed, the principle number 8 says that lift the people and can improve the result, which means that there's a government role. When you talk about the role, address the market failure. Now, question is when you look at those interventions, the government intervention comes to this point, not somewhere else. The intervention tool to address the market failure, we have to ask question whether the correct intervention tool. Nowadays, you can say, especially when you look at the Sri Lankan economy, nowadays you can see the worst case, though they came to power to address those, and government tried to get full revenue, whatever tax or other thing, and policies mainly lead into discourage the productivity and earning. That is the worst situation. Even the history, you did not see like kind of a policy. So new government, I don't know which direction they are heading. With that, if you look at the Sri Lankan tax very high right now, I have written an article also published. You might read it. And as last year is direct, indirect tax and inflation together. Someone who earn reasonable amount of money earning has to pay 96% of tax. These are excluding what you have to pay education and health. But that's also has to count as a tax for us.
Excuse me, sir. We can't hear you, sir.
Oh, what I broke my line also now connected, and again I talk a lot mute. Sorry for that. And what I try to say the last few thing, and why stop the government collect tax, and roughly those who earn contribute to the production have to pay about 90, including inflation, indirect and direct tax, 94, 90. If we add those to health, education, and other things, and we pay more than 100% tax, because though education free, if you look at the national household budget, about 12%, health about 13%, still pay. It's not
So
supposed to do that. Yeah.
So that 90%, sir, what is the indicator, sir?
Indicator is the direct tax 36%. Those who earn the highest rank is their average tax about the if you look at now those who earn high, they have cars, and the average tax not 18%, about 32% again, and also plus inflation. These three together last year about 90%. This year, since inflation dropped down a little bit, about less than about 82, 80 some percent. So what I say, for this we have to add the other thing also in Sri Lankan, because the pay and tax and those countries are used for the education, public good, public services. There are quality there, there are services there. But in Sri Lanka, for example, education, though pre-education, if you are general, if you look at the Department of Census Statistics, household health budget about 13%, education budget about 12%. Those, and also though public good as a road government built, and if you have a car, these roads, if you use those, of course, definitely we have to use it's damaged car than the good road. That not the quality, because the commission and things. So that also the cost to those who pay tax. And I mean, this is the thing. With that, roughly even over 100%, people usually pay tax. Those who top level earners, and the business sectors also say, yeah.
So the amount spent on the health and the education, that kind of core areas as a percentage of the GDP, when we compare countries with Sri Lanka, I mean, is it always good to have a higher percentage, or it depends?
No, what I'd say, that's not a country. Household budget, Department of Census, household survey, it said your household budget mostly you spend for food and beverage. Second and third item, health and education. Though those supposed to be pre. So as if pre-nang this household budget, that what you expend 12%, 13% as the indirect tax. Because it's supposed to government, you're supposed to, because the education not quality, health not quality. That's why you pay that. So it's supposed to government take tax from us and provide those service if it is free to everybody. So the government policy is the only poor people, not those who productive contributed people. Those people paid this. We have to consider as again indirect tax. So that's what I say. The national, what you say, the national budget is small amount. That what you say, but that's the different story we can look at, and different ways. Though still, Sri Lanka provide the pre-education. When they talk about the tax, claim is that since we provide pre-education, pre-health, we need the revenue. That's what the government side says. So then imagine if they provide tax for that, still household has to pay about 12%. We have to add that 12% also as a tax. Otherwise, you can't say the pre. So because those goes to tuition and other give to the school, other activities and kind of thing, because the wrong initiative and wrong policies. So those also because of government wrong intervention. Now, what I try to say is, even now other countries, even including USA, you can see support the reduced tax, not the increase in tax. In that way, this bill, if you read it carefully, is a big document. You can read it, and you can see how even the USA moving to make a business-friendly environment to private businesses come and support the economy. But in Sri Lanka, especially nowadays, you can say the government try to do the business. Government try to control everything. It doesn't work in that way. So that's the thing. Now, before this act, USA government introduced another act some time back, Tax Cut and Job Act. A prediction also different studies. See that when the cut, even I have written article, there also you can see how improve economy in all the except one of the IMF study, positively impact when the tax cut. So my paper also say except Nigeria, all the other countries, this is true. With that, look at the policies, intervention. I took the 4 intervention. One is the price floor, the other one is the price ceiling, the other one is tax, the other one is subsidy. So the price floor, I will start. The price floor, what I going to do, first try to understand what is it. Secondly, how it's impact to this economy, to the society. There also, I look at the textbook interpretation, which means neoclassical microeconomics textbook interpretation and how they evaluate, and also go beyond little, also I look at. So to understand the price floor, or we can use the minimum legal price, which set the price about the market price. The market mechanism, in this case, for example, price is $6. The government set the price about the market price. They are what we call price floor, orthodox price floor, orthodox minimum price. And the unorthodox price, you saw recently what happened, recent government introduced for rice, with this as a price ceiling, they put the higher price. That is called unorthodox. So here the orthodox price floor, which is mean government set the price above the market price. So basically you can see to support the producer, to support the supplier. There immediate thing what happened, you can see the price floor, demand dropped because the higher price and demand reduced. In this example, dropped to 100. Same time, it's kind of encouragement for supply increase. Now, with this point, I'll ask a question from you. What is the advantage and disadvantage of this kind of price floor? Any benefit? Anyone?
I think the consequence will be this industry having the flow will be benefit, but other industry will pay the price finally.
Okay. No, Sri Lankan, I think. Point. Now, immediately with this, what happened in the market, it creates a surplus. Surplus means the supply is higher than the demand. Now, I have another question. Now, 2 ways question. First one, as a producer, as a manager, as a supplier, what kind of strategies, what you can do with this surplus?
Government can purchase the surplus?
No, I'm asking as a manager, if you are the industry, you produce and you have a firm, if you see this kind of surplus happening in your industry, what you do?
You tend to bring the price down?
Now, though sometimes we don't, you feel like a joke. If government legal price mean, if you reduce the government tax, this government definitely do, because everybody put into jail. And you put into jail because you break the rule. You can't do that.
Try to reduce the production cost more and keep better profits.
That's of course even not price flow you can do. So surplus case, how
Khatara.
surplus and that's happened.
Khatara.
Throughout sales promotions, promotion activities, we can increase the sales.
Yeah, your firms you can do that. Now, like you said, as a government policy maker, what you can do?
So how about some possibilities to export or something like that? Like if you're having a surplus.
Once someone say the government can buy, and you say they export, any other solution?
Value addition or diversification? Any value addition system?
Okay, value addition. Now look at the first one. You say someone say before government can buy. Now imagine if government buy, government has to buy, spend this amount of money, which means the stock government has to buy. Which means here different 7 multiply 100, 700 million government need to buy. 700 million. Now, after buy government, what can you do? What government can do?
Use for subsidies.
Now you said that give subsidies. Subsidy when give those people who did raise to work, right? That's another thing. That's what our traditional thinking.
For the people now, for the the people who does like us, Vasuma, like kind of thing, people now they can't afford that price, no sir. Because of that, for the benefit of those people, can't you give that goods?
Okay, that's what how like I start with the grasshopper and Annie story. You are thinking pattern exactly the traditional and conventional poverty oriented. That's what our people think. And now imagine whatever way the government buys $700 million, this amount. Now where the government get money for that to buy? Like say, some of you say buy and store. If we store, again, you don't forget this production continuously coming. Then whatever the amount government store, I have to keep it forever and go. So that cost to the economy and the society again and again. If you give the, like you say, the assessment of poor people, also that double cost also by whatever those things, buy this amount and maintain, let's say, at least adding another 200 million, this become 900 million. Because the forages and other things. Where this money come from to the government? That's my point.
From
Where
taxpayers.
this money? From taxpayers. Understand? From taxpayers. Understand? Taxpayers has now what you say, the getting taxpayers money, taxpayers the surplus, and then give the poor people or half price. If the half price also double, that also at maybe this become around 1100,000 million. Taxpayers again have to give. Now, when you collect tax and administer tax, also at least another 200 million expense. So which means at least the government has to collect 1,200 million tax money for taxpayer. Because this $1 increased the price. The benefit what you get, we can see later on, and compare what really benefit at get. In this case, definitely benefit get about 200 million. It's less than. To get 200 million benefit, taxpayers indirectly have to pay tax to the government. So you can say 1,200 million. It's fair deal. Think of that. We will see later on real story. It's a fair deal. Definitely. And let's say you get as a producer something 200 and your pocket government getting 1200. So ultimately you lose money 800. Understand? You don't feel it, you don't see that. But that is the government doing it's not the tricks, but the government, that's what really the government taking from. So, and somebody said the second option, export. Create the surplus and export. Now, when you think of if Sri Lankan case list like that, China must be different little. Sri Lankan case, even the market price here in this case, the $6 might be higher than the world market price. In case of, for example, rice, our market price without government intervention already higher than the Vietnam and other Chinese market price. Now, increase in price again, if you export, it must be your wife or your girlfriend or your parent must be their president. Otherwise, they don't buy. I mean, higher price, any country, I don't think will buy because the market, world market price is less than that. So the export definitely out. If you export again, the cost to the taxpayers' money, like say someone say that even the world market price is the $5, you get this plus and buy and export. But that's what happened. Our taxpayers cost you export. Ultimately, whoever country buy from our country, we pay tax for that. That may not happen logically, because we live in a global world. So world market price is less than that. Even the $6 is the world market price. If the government set the price in 7, who buys $7 again? That's the point. Now with this, we will look at how the effect of price flow textbook, the microeconomics textbook explained. There, the microeconomics textbook, school of thought is the neoclassical textbook. They look at only this effect, only one angle. For that, we have to understand the demand and supply two concepts. One is the producer surplus. So you can measure the producer surplus here. The one is consumer surplus. So you can measure definitely if you, for example, here the price is $10, here $5. You can measure the amount here different is 5. Let's say here the 100. Then the difference is 2. Consumer surplus is 250 million. With this 5 multiply 100 divide by 2. So in that way you get that one. Now point here, the intervention should increase, able to improve this surplus. This surplus together, consumer surplus, producer surplus, together we call social welfare. Social welfare means satisfaction of the people of the economy. Social welfare. Now let's say the original, before intervention, social welfare is W0. After intervention, let's say the social welfare W1. W1 is greater than W0, we can say that particular intervention, society, entire economy better off. If not, of course, the worse off. Now look at what happened with the price flow. Now, market price is $5, price flow, government said $6. Now what happened exactly with this price flow? Since the demand is this point, though you produce surplus, since you can't sell it somewhere, ultimately settle down to only the Q1, which means, let's say I put here number 80 unit. 80 unit. Now look at the mark here. Let us see, let's say A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, look at the original consumer surplus. Look at the original consumer surplus. Consumer surplus, original. In the exam, you should be able to calculate this value. Here, I'm not going to do. Original A, B also part of the consumer surplus. This is the yellow color area. C also original part of the consumer surplus. Look at the original producer surplus. So this is the orange color area, D, E, and F. D, E, and F. Which means all of the areas together become original social welfare. A, B, C, D, E, and F, all the areas. Now what happened after the price floor intervention, minimum price intervention? Since the price is higher, $6, now producer surplus increase. This become consumer surplus only area A. Consumer surplus only area A. Now after intervention, consumer surplus, I should the C1, only area A. Previously, you can see the A, B, and C also there. Now, after intervention, the producer surplus, they become now B from consumer, now drop to the producer. So the part of the producer surplus B now. D and E also there. D and E also there. Now let's look at W1, which is the social welfare after the intervention. A, B, D, and C. Sorry, not C, E. E. Now, look at the W0 and W1. You can see the W1 definitely in this case less than W0, which means using the consumers and the producers surplus concept, neoclassical, even it creates a loss. What happened to this C and F area? You can see the C and F area. That two areas, neoclassical economic textbook considers dead weight loss. So in the exam value, you should be able to calculate dead weight loss. You can check your ChatGPT and see what does mean dead weight loss. Is loss to the entire economy due to encourage overproduction. C and F area, dead weight loss. That's what neoclassical economics effect. It's a negatively effect to the economy. So the loss to the GDP. But its case is worse than that. Reality, you have to add this area A also. This area also you have to add reality. Why? Why not? or neoclassical economy does not consider this area A. Because the neoclassical economists believe that, that's one of the assumption there, economics are with full employment. With the full employment scenario, only created debt weight loss. Area A not considered. Now, area A and C all together, area A plus F and C all together, when you compare or move from pre-market to influence market, due to product reduction of the production, lost the economy. Now, think of this particular industry. Before the price floor intervention, production is 100 million. Now only 80 million. This 20 million production lost due to this price floor. Now, this is not a simple story. To produce this 20 million, lost of this 20 million production, imagine how many businesses has closed down. Let's say only 100 businesses closed down, which means only 100 entrepreneurs lost their businesses. But that's not simple. Those businesses, there are input providers, laborers there, human resources there, other material providers there. They also lost their job. Let's say it all together maybe 6,000. I mean, very small kind of industry. Now, entrepreneurs, 6,000, all lost their job. Lost their job means their income earning stop. They don't get income. It's not like that. The one industry, if you take an economy, they have interlink. They link with the other industry. For example, very simple example, let's say this particular industry take financial support from bank. If the 100 firms close down mean, the bank also lost some businesses. The bank, they are also workers there. It's something like that. The other industries also link. All together, let's say 10,000 lost their direct, indirect and all. 10,000 lost their kind of a small industry. But there is 10,000, their family members also lost their livelihood. Let's say average family member is 4. Now it's about 40,000.
So you bundle capital A, simple B, and simple C. That is from the consumer's side. You bundle it. Oh,
No, bundle with the loss from debt weight loss F and C, but the A point, look at it. This we consider, I sometime back also I explained that for A, directly what you measure as the cost of production. What does mean cost of production mean? Input providers income. This is equal to input providers income. Understand? As a you
Yeah.
producer, you expend some in entrepreneurs' income, profit, and labor's wages, and this, which means the A area loss mean the loss of income they lost, their family loss. So that is the serious than the full employment scenarios, what the neoclassical economists say. Because the full employment scenario, even the developed countries was not applicable right now. Neoclassical belief. One thing is full employment nowhere. Suppose there is a full employment. The neoclassical believe that with the full employment, this kind of, if you lost a job, now let's say you are a bank manager. If you lost a job, you can move to another industry. But that is not simple. Your expert is maybe in Sri Lanka, anyone lost their job, they come to the university and try to teach that kind of culture we have. Or doctors, if they lost the job, they think they can go to a bank and do even the three-wheel driver lost their three-wheel job. In Sri Lankan culture, they think they can come to the university and teach. But that is not the case. That's not happening because there's a certain professional skill need. So for that, let's say, take 6 months. So these 6 months, who look after their families? The policymakers who set the price like that, they have a plan. Definitely no. They have the social protection plan, like you grasshopper, and it's only encourage poor people to not work. Not those who lost this kind of job, social protection, we don't have. Even those policymakers and politicians set the price like that, do they have a plan to train them, those who lost the job, to move to another industry? No, not at all. So danger, that's what I say. In addition to this death rate loss, that's what the textbook says. Area is much worse than death rate loss. Because that creates a social unrest also. And so the effect you can see, they're very simple. Maybe the policymaker and the politician together, they may think, even the producers, they approach and they think and support to producers, they set a price like that, price floor. So for that, they argue different way. They say, oh, we have to support producers and that. But ultimately, you can see the root causes, the damage to the society, damage to the economy. Now, the other thing, look at it. Without this price flow, now this industry produced 100 million. With the 100 million, production possibility frontier, suppose 2024, like this. If government introduced this policy 2025, now come to the market, produce only 80 million. In that way, the production possibility frontier definitely shift back. Come to this way. So how government claim that the economy grow? Because if 100 add to the GDP, now only at 80 to GDP. So in that way, also ultimately social welfare can be only lower than before. That's why the W1 here. W1 less than W0. You can see. Now, another thing also, this death rate loss create, government try to encourage the overproduction due to overproduction. But ultimately happen the opposite thing, production also reduce and they create so many issues in the society and the economy. And now, like somebody already mentioned, government can buy the surplus and change the situation. Now, what we discussed, government need money. That money come from taxpayers. Taxpayers are mainly producers. Now you can see the producer surplus increased by only this amount, B amount. To maintain this, to facilitate the social protection to this A block, do you think even the 100% tax collect from the producer surplus is enough to make? Though the producers happy, ultimately to correct the society, correct the thing, the government need more, and the producers have to pay indirectly more to the government, and the economic cost is higher than the benefit some producers get. Another thing also happened, government tried to encourage producers more than the market decided amount. That's what the reason government increased the price, which means the government indirectly encourage inefficient producers as well. Inefficient producers promote mean country use resources inefficiently. It's affect to not the current generation and the affect the future generation also. Matter of sustainability. Because we use ultimately resources inefficiently. So that is also another danger we can see. Now, next one, the price ceiling. Before go to price ceiling, if you have any questions, any comments, please let me know. Then I will
So on the
answer.
previous slide, sir, the consumer producer surplus increased by B minus C. Is it correct?
Yeah, B minus C, consumer producer surplus decrease. Yeah, consumer surplus decrease, B minus
CNF.
Yeah.
Then sir, so you compare that situation, B minus CNF situation is ultimately a plus can be a plus figure for the producer, but you discuss from a government, basically country point of view, the impact that is coming from this capital A and the simple A, is it?
Yeah, the country point of view, the loss, because the one thing the government encourage the inefficient producers, the other one is due to reduce the production and lost the jobs.
Yeah.
Unemployment to a significant amount of people, and ultimately created a debt loss also. Those things are very costly to the society. Even the producers get additional this B area, what I say, to maintain, if you try to correct this, somehow had to correct, giving subsidies, they become poor and they give the Avanza, whatever thing. Government need money. Government collect tax, and government had to collect tax more than this B area. Well, the government collect those who producers, because that's what usually happen, those who engage in the production. Then the producers here get 200 million. From there, indirectly, the pocket government take around 800 million. Ultimately, indirectly, they are also losers. I mean, if you look at the long term and the holistic way, not only the whole economy, whole society, those producers also ultimately lost because the government, because the consumer surplus anyway drop, they can't pay the tax, and the producer surplus increase and have to pay more. If you look at the practically, producers and those who engage in the production or government collect tax. So government try to support the producer. Ultimately, what happened is long term or medium term, indirectly government disturb, government damage to the producer surplus also. Ultimately, what happened? Yeah.
But this, I mean, the quantity produced will be less, but it will take some time. Is it? Maybe some surplus, the real surplus products will be provided, but cannot be purchased. No?
No. Can't be long term. What you said, the increase, because since the demand here less than the price increase, demand increase, whatever the amount you produce additional, it's only the you have to destroy. Otherwise, you have to reduce the price. It's in the legal. This is the legal price. You can't reduce the price also. So what I try to say, with this kind of policy, we need the innovative ways to address this one, or maybe innovative policies rather than this kind of conventional policy. One thing also, like someone already mentioned, this surplus creator, producers and government can innovative do research and development use those surplus for value creation work. And so that kind of things, like you said, the maybe long term benefit to the producer, benefit to the economy, benefit to the country. That happen. Without those kind of innovative thinking, this, policy damage to all the parties, including government.
Yeah, I mean, the employment reduction, it exactly to the amount Q0 minus Q1. Maybe because of the surplus products there, still some less, I understand, but not completely come to Q0 minus Q1. Because some products surplus there, so that means as you said, some surplus has to be destroyed, but such surplus need some employment part.
Okay. Really, I not get that point, but maybe what I say that create the surplus. So surplus also, like I before explained, the government can buy, but this say whatever the industry, whatever the agriculture product, surplus also not stop. Next season also surplus adding surplus continuously. That happen. The paddy market, you can see the government to buy, government store, even the sometime back in Sri Lanka, government used the airport also to storage these kind of paddy. Ultimately, what the government does, someone say, give those rice to the poor people, but that is after 6-7 months, the rice kind of thing, maximum 6 months or something, sometime, keep the full nutrition value. In that way, they will eat and people become not healthy, and again, negatively affect to the productivity because that kind of thing. Because the quality also getting down. Definitely, export you can't do that because the world market price definitely is that. If you lower price export mean, so that is cost to the domestic taxpayers. So because using domestic taxpayers' money, you export to, let's say, Bangladesh, and Bangladesh enjoy our tax money in that way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Will it be possible to, may not be today, on the next day even, get some calculations on that example what you give, maybe 1 or 2 scenarios?
That is your job for the exam, right? Exam question, definitely I'll give only like demand function and the supply function. Let's say something 60 minus 2p. And I'll give price flow. Let's say $50 or $80 or something. So this only I give. You should be able to calculate all the areas what I mark here: A, B, C, D, E, F, and capital A, all the areas. So try to do with your hypothetical demand and supply function exam. Definitely you have to do, including dead weight loss. Now quickly, the opposite is the price ceiling, which means the price government set below the market price. This particular example, let's say 5, the market price, and let's say the poised ceiling price. Orthodox price ceiling means government set the price below the market price. Definitely why government is doing that, to support the consumers, support the consumer. Now here also we can do the quite similar analysis. Ultimately same as before, but you can say it costs to the entire economy. And we will see that. Before that, I said that is orthodox price ceiling, but recently in Sri Lankan government set the unorthodox price ceiling also, because the rice price, you say, even the above the market price, they set the rice price. So that is what we call unorthodox price ceiling. So here what happened when the setting the price ceiling, for example, let's say the $4, the supply discourage, supply only 100, drop 150 to 100, demand increase. Now it's create a shortage in the market. Now I have a question to start the discussion. If this kind of shortage happen in the market, what would be the next thing? What really happened in the market next? What is the result of this kind of shortage? Anyone?
Price increase.
Price increase mean you here understand. I don't know what meaning you said that here government legally set this price. If as a producer you can't increase because this is not the pre-market now. If you do so, government of course now government take you to the jail. Now of course the government main job is right now with that need. Government take you to the jail because that's another thing also. If the producers try to do that, the government has to monitor, government has to look after. There are also some cost involved because as a producer, like you said, a price increase, some producers try to do that. For that, the government had to set some police or some workforce to look after that also. That also cost to the economy. Understand? I did not explain that one in the previous case. That is also there. Because if something government introduced legally, government has to monitor is someone break the rule legal. Now that what you try to say like that. So then the government had to, yeah.
So the price, like for example, now in bakeries, now they have the normal bread and then the sliced bread, then they say various other things also. So that kind of thing, is it possible to segregate in this kind of a situation?
Yeah, one thing is here price ceiling mean price goes down. In that way, the previous case what you tried to say is correct because the price change, then people try to get the substitute and other thing, the low quality good because they think the price is high. But here, when you explain, understand the price goes down and the people may buy more this from this. That's what the demand higher than the supply. So what you try to explain, since the shortage there, then people buy not this cheaper one, some other product. That's what the second option for a consumer, for a customer. Yeah, in that way, ultimately, I am not sure whether really the government objective achieved. That maybe the one things happen in the market, this kind of price ceiling is a shortage happen. If you don't have the bread what you eat normally, little higher price, substitute bread you buy. So that's maybe the good point also. The other product also expand.
And then pharmaceuticals also, I don't know if it's correct to say, I've noticed now when there's a ceiling came, certain companies like HealthGuard, they came up with these other products which are not exactly medicine, like shampoos and all those things, which are priced almost 5 times of the manufacturer's price available in Australia. Now, so I think to their P&L maybe that is substantially value adding. It's not, they have slightly diverted into a different area, but not exactly the medicine.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this industry, particular industry, what happens? Suppliers goes down. The suppliers may go to subsidies and their marketing improve, and ultimately they be better off because and again the customers, consumers become worse because ultimately, like you said, the other product low quality, even they sell higher price, little higher price. And the low quality product also the other gum firms, they may sell higher price because since the shortage happened, the like kind of medicine, what you said, no option, patients has to buy. Those things also happen. Whatever thing is, the government does this kind of thing. Government has to monitor, and for that also government has spent so much money to maintain the army and the police force also. Now, what try to get from you this kind of shortage? Yes, imagine Sri Lankan passport office. Now if you know that every day they give only limited. Now let's say every day they give 100 passport. Now the queue there 100. Now that's very simple question from you. In this line, this queue, you are in a 120 position. You early morning went, and the queue now 100. But you know exactly, since you got late, you don't get because only 100 people get it. What you do that? What did you do that? Personally, what you are going to do?
Maybe some
Black market
corruption.
price.
What you do, imagine if you go back home, they come to the involved cost, including opportunity cost, and you come with someone else also maybe, that going back also another cost, they have to come again another day. So the cost may be at least about $20 if you go back. Now what you do in that way, something even equal to 20 or less than 20, if you pay to someone can come for within the firm, within the passport office or outside. If you can get, you will do it. That is the rational people, what you are talking is in the economy. And maybe you try to find a place, someone here in between 100 and pay to someone, and you try to move there also. That also, you remember the petrol queue cases. So many businesses happen because someone keep the station, sell to someone place. Those things happen. All of them are kind of corruption. So the government try to stop the corruption, introducing so many legislation, so many things. Same time, government doing this kind of policy indirectly encourage the corruption. Now, what happened in this case is they create black market price somewhere up to, let's say, the $7. Black market price. With this black market price, is not just to create additional black market money earning, with the society also create that commission corrupted culture. That is another danger. Now imagine you are a parent, you do so, your children also observe and they look at. They also do so next time. And the others also do next time. So that's the real. Now this is the kind of thing in the shortage create a black market price, and it has so many issues. So now the neoclassical microeconomics textbook analyze this also, like previously what we discussed, looking at the consumer surplus and producer surplus concept. Here the original producer surplus, here the original consumer surplus. These two together, social welfare. Now what happened with the price ceiling, this is the thing happened in the price ceiling. Now originally the consumer surplus A, B, C area, producer surplus D, E and F area. Now what happened after price ceiling, consumer surplus increased up to A, B, D area consumer surplus. Producer surplus dropped to only the area E, C and E lost to the entire economy. That's what we call deadweight loss. That textbook, microeconomics textbook explain. Why? Like I explained before, they believe that economy with full employment, but it's not the case. I explained no economy, even Chinese economy, European economy, developed countries, no full employment. In that case, that discussion, that scenario out. Other thing, even the full employment, like I mentioned before, someone who work this particular industry, let's say you work in a bank, if you lost the job overnight, you can go to a hospital, you can practice as a doctor. You need a certain professional experience and skill. So now think whether those policymakers has a plan for that. It takes time. Now let's say that this policy create underproduction. Let's say the original 100 million now produce 80 million. This underproduction create this area, everybody unemployed. If this area value is, let's say, the $300 million, which means those who provide input to this particular industry before price ceiling, they lost their job, they lost their income, 300 million. Plus this debt loss, let's say 100 million, 400 million lost due to this policy. The economy. Individually, consumers get benefit because they had only D area minus C, which means ultimately about $550 million additional consumer surplus increase. But ultimately, you can see holistic way, macro level, economic analysis if you do, the entire economy lost. So the price ceiling also like that, like price floor, lost to the economy. And the consumer surplus, you can see a drop substantially, only area E. The producers are the one who push the economy, move the economy. Because they are surplus, they use the reinvestment and research and development. With that only, you can move the production possibility frontier. Like that. But what happened is this kind of reduction production. Now 100 to 80, the production possibility frontier move inside, not outside. So the government policy created so many issues, though, I mean, simply they think this kind of price reduction helps to the society. So that not happen overall, and the macro picture is quite dangerous. Now you might think then all the world doing this kind of policies. Of course, true. I'm telling that we have to find innovative way. Oh, this kind of policies that some other countries doing, there are requirement for some industries to discourage and encourage. Looking at the economic movement, some industries, some sectors, government encourage. Some sectors, government has to discourage because there are leakages very high. So that way doing, but in Sri Lankan government, I don't think so. They are doing like that. So another case is these two policies. Government also does not get anything. To maintain these policies, the regulation, government had to spend money, zero earning. Earning has to come from other industry, taxpayers. That is another problem. Because the government, like a tax policy, does not earn anything, this kind of price ceiling. Because here, changes happen in the producer side and the consumer side. So with that, I'll stop here. This case, what happened, the net weight loss due to underproduction. Great underproduction and loss to the economy. With that, I stop today. But if you have any clarification, any questions, I can wait another few minutes, and otherwise we can leave the meeting. If you want, you can watch my YouTube also live going, or later also you can watch. And if any clarification, You can put the question also there. I will answer also.
So my previous
Uh,
question on the bake that the bread example what I gave. So what I have noticed is some of these bakeries they produce at the government price a limited quantity, and when the customer comes there, the customer doesn't have any choice but to go to the next level.
That happened because the bread and the fish bread, the fish pan, fish malu pan, size becomes smaller and smaller in this country.
Yeah.
When we were that, I don't know how to call it, that Kimbala bun is a nice small, is sometimes bigger than so bigger, even we can't eat one. Now we need at least two. You see, if this happened, this is a reduced quality and quantity. The government has to monitor, government has to take the legal action. Now, take to that, the government has to maintain a separate workforce, like a police or some. For that also, the government had to collect tax from the taxpayers because they maintain those things. That is another thing. Because whenever the government introduces legislation, legal regulation to look after them, to monitor them, need another workforce, and also another serious case, those government regulation, most cases inefficient, because the producers use, like what you said, the substitute for that. With that substitute, what they use, maybe the damage to the economy more than the previous one. There are many studies of the kind of thing. Like what you said, they do the substitute input and thing is maybe they're not environment friendly, maybe not sustainable. This overall damage to the economy more than the previous line of production. Those things also happen. You are saying what exactly right. Okay, thank you very much. And most probably next week we will do a group discussion, and see you next week.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Yes, sir.